how are you getting on? Despite the fact we've had really dark, long nights and cold evenings and we haven't been able to see each other, I've decided to do something that I really love that usually requires those things. Usually you do it on a long, hot summer's evening with lots of friends. But I love it so much, I thought, to hell with it. I want to do it. So this week, you're going to be listening to the sounds of me barbecuing. I'm really excited. It's going to be a lot of fun. So when I say barbecue, most of you are going to imagine some sausages and some overcooked burgers. But that's the British style of doing barbecuing. Instead, I'm actually going to be Texas barbecuing. Now, it's quite different to the barbecuing we're used to because it takes so long. You spend a whole day doing Texas barbecuing, and that's why I love it so much. The reason I got into it was because I've got some Texas relatives, and my Texas relative Mark loves barbecuing, and he introduced me to this craft, and it is such a joy to do. So I hope that I maybe can introduce you this type of cooking and hopefully inspire you to maybe one day try out cooking this way, or even just to try some of that food. But the whole point is to take things low and slow. I should probably try doing a Texas accent. Low and slow. So while I boil the kettle, instead of a jazz track, I'm going to play some nice country music. I hope you enjoy. I'll deal with the tea later, but now let's get the barbecue set up. So you'll hear me carry out the bag of charcoal. Ooh, it's a nice, crisp, cold day. Perfect conditions for barbecuing. And it is now about 10 o'clock, so I'm up early enough to do this barbecuing because it usually takes about 6 to 8 hours. Now listen to this as I bring off the top of the barbecue. It's got a lovely ring to it, doesn't it? So next I'm going to add the charcoal, which is quite important for a barbecue. I have to add quite a lot because it has to last for so long. I love the sound of those little kind of clinking, the sound that they make when hitting each other. It's like almost like each of the charcoal are cheersing each other before they're making a toast before they get toasted. How about that? Okay, we're set up. So, without further ado, it's time to light it up. Love the satisfying snap you get when you strike a match. I think there's such a pleasure in it. But then, all of a sudden, it's like from bliss to then panic mode to keep that match alight. Which I have successfully done this time. So I've used a bit of lighter fluid to help get it going, so you may hear a little sizzle with the flame reacting to it. I'm going to actually need to strike another match just to get to the other side of the barbecue. So I'm going to further explain about American barbecuing, this low and slow technique. The idea is to cook something not under direct heat and allow the smoke of the charcoal and the wood that you add to it flavour it over a very long time. And usually you'd use a tough meat that over a long period of time becomes very succulent and very delicious. But between different states and even in areas within those states, there is disagreement of how to do barbecuing the best. So people argue what meat is the best, what wood chips to use to smoke the meat with, and how to serve it. So I'm doing Texas barbecuing, which is traditionally brisket using a dry rub, but you have Memphis barbecue, you have South Carolina barbecue. So there are many, many different ways of doing it, but of course I'm going to stick to my Texan roots. I almost imagine the sound of twinkling stars. This is what the charcoal sounds like right now. Have a listen. You can also hear some sawing in the background. That's not me. So I'm going to move around the charcoal just so they heat through properly. And the key is really, it's not about the meat. It's actually more about the pit. And that's why the person running the barbecue isn't the chef or the cook. They're the pit master. They are the owners and surveyors of this pit. And I think that is key. It's about managing the heat and keeping it consistent, keeping it at the right temperature, and ensuring you've got enough smoke coming to flavour it as well. So it's really not about the thing you're cooking, but it's about the oven in which you're cooking it in. Don't get me wrong, the meat is very important, and the key is to treat it with respect. So make sure it's good quality, marinate it the night before, and get it to room temperature before you cook it. The reason I can stand outside with only a barbecue as company is because I think there is some power that you get from barbecuing, and I think it's because as humans it's the method of cooking that we've probably done most of our existence, right by a fire with a big chunk of meat. And fire makes us human. It shows the bad side of us. It can be destructive, it can destroy whole forests, but it also represents the good side of being human, which is the innovation that comes from welding two bits of metal together, or simply just being able to stay warm at night. And that goes into cooking. No other animal can cook. So I read this the other day about how, we're not like pandas, where we spend all day digesting bamboo. We just cook a steak or whatever, and we get on with the day, and we have time to think about art and science and engineering and politics, whatever it may be, but we have the time for it. So fire makes us human. And so by standing here, doing something we've done for so long that makes us human, I think there's a beautiful power in it. And I think it's intrinsically human, barbecuing. So that's why I love it. Oh, and it is also delicious to eat. It is worth your time. That's also why I like barbecuing. Now I'm going to drop some hickory wood chips, and you're going to hear them pass through the grill and onto the charcoal to add that nice smoky flavour. Now I've nearly forgotten something very important, and that's the meat. So I've got the brisket here, which I've marinated with a dry spice rub, which is now in. So I've got the barbecue closed to keep the smoke in. It's almost like you're tucking it to bed, and now you can relax. So I'm going to have a sip of tea. So the meat has been cooking at a low temperature for a while now, and hopefully those juices are running through and flavouring itself, as including the smoke. And what I'm going to do now is I've got a baste, and I'm just going to put that flavour and spices back into it. And it's mixed with beer as well, and they call it a beer mop, which I think is great. So I'm going to beer mop this brisket. And that tinny sound you can hear is the drip tray collecting the excess liquid, because underneath it we don't have direct heat, we actually have it to the side, and that's what's very different to our barbecuing, where we'd have all the charcoals underneath burning those sausages. So to ensure I get that smoky flavour, I'm going to add a few more wood chips. While we wait for the meat to cook, I want to talk about something else that I love that comes from the States that has a similar kind of ethos, and that is country music. I've found in lockdown this has helped me so much, listening to upbeat, fun, quite poppy country music. And they contain amazing quotes, which is kind of like the low and slow thinking, which is basically, know the things that you like, enjoy them, and just experience that happiness that you get from it. Or think about it, and hopefully you'll be able to enjoy it again. So I've really found, particularly in lockdown when we haven't been able to do much, listening to country music has kind of offered a nice sweet slice of pecan pie that I look forward to eating in the future. So I'm going to read out some quotes to some nice country music I'm going to put on in the background. Let's go. Okay, here we go. There's no dollar sign on a piece of mind. This I come to know. That's pretty good, That's true. Money can't buy you happiness. This is from the same song by the Zach Braff Band. Very much recommend. Well, I was raised beneath the shade of a Georgia pine, and that's home, Sweet tea, pecan pie, and homemade wine, where the peaches grow. That's quite a nice place. I quite that home sounds very lovely. There's a song which is all about not wanting to go to work, and it finished off the chorus with, "It's 5 o'clock somewhere." Here's another one. Caught in a southern summer, barefoot blue jean night. I cannot wait for a southern summer, barefoot blue jean night. One of those nights? Oh, wonderful. This one's a good one. Rain makes corn. Corn makes whiskey. Whiskey makes my lady a little frisky. Rain is a good thing. How cheeky. And I love this one. Only worry in the world is the tide gonna reach my chair. That is a worry that I want to have. 100%. You sat there, you think, the tide's, it's well away, I don't need to worry about that, and it starts getting closer and closer. What a good problem to have, because you're on the beach, and you're on holiday, unless you live by the beach. So there you go. There's my country lyrics. I really recommend, check out the playlist Chicken Fried, and just dance around and enjoy it. So I have to admit, it is currently January, it's very cold, it's very dark, and the meat's not cooked yet. And I've had my fun, but you know what? I just decided I'm going to have to pop it in the oven. So that's what I did, but it still came out really, really delicious. And I guess as we go into the new year, remember, with New Year, New You, doing exercise and all that stuff, which is great, but be easy on yourself. It's okay to try it the proper way, but you don't have to go all the way, because you've got to remember to look after yourself. I just want to say a couple of thanks to Dr. Turtle for this current song. What a name. Love your name, Doctor. And also Hulu for an earlier track. And also big shout out to my family from Texas. Big shout out. And thank you, Mark, for teaching me the ways of barbecuing. So I hope you stay well, and you'll hear from me soon. taste it.
This?
And get that